Hello YouTube, it's Katie and welcome to the video. Today we are going to be doing a reading rank tier list. So I know that this is a little different from my typical video, but it's okay because for the 30 days in August, I might even do August 31st if I'm feeling extra frisky, but for at least 30 days in August, I'm going to be uploading a video every single day. So press that subscribe button if you like this to see more from me, and press that bell so that you will be notified for exactly when I upload tomorrow. So editing this is going to be a bit of a doozy for...
So I'm here to tell you that editing this was, in fact, a bit of a doozy. During the editing process, my computer completely, black screened on me, wouldn't do anything. It took so much to get this video out. So much. So I hope you guys really enjoy it, because I had to film it on 2 different devices. Even then, I still couldn't get it to work the way I wanted to. I was screen recording things, I was dropping things over here, moving things over there. It was so much. But hopefully y'all enjoy this tier list.
The books that I could remember from my reading in high school, mostly, and I think there are a few from college. I have Pride and Prejudice, Alas Babylon, Frankenstein, The Awakening, To Kill a Mockingbird, Invisible Man, Jane Eyre, Great Gatsby, Kite Runner. This, I have to assume it's A Tale of Two Cities. The title is cut off. Heart of Darkness, Orinoco, Paradise Lost. The title's also cut off in this one, and I really don't know what it is. Phantomina? That might be Phantomina. And then there were none, and The Giver. I'm sure I've had to read more books than this. This is just what I could remember. For my ranking list, I decided to do the category titles based off of literary accomplishments, or based off of educational accomplishments or failings that I have had in my schooling. So at the top tier, we have a 5 on the AP Lit exam, which I got, and I am very proud of. I'm beginning to think that I'm in the gifted education program because of literature. I wish I would have told you that you can get into the gifted program because of one subject. They really had me thinking I was just smart in everything, when that is absolutely in no way true. But I think it's because of literature, and I got a 5 on the AP Lit exam, so it's the top. The next one is the SAT Perfect Writing Score, which I also got, but it doesn't hold as much water as the AP Lit exam, in my opinion. Next are reading comprehension multiple choice quizzes. I'm usually good at these, but sometimes I just have an out-of-the-box answer that is just absolutely not available for me to click on in the quiz. It's a little racist, if you ask me. Next, towards the lower tier, we have 3rd grade spelling quizzes. I like reading, I like writing, spelling, not really my style. I do the best that I can, but I've never really been good on that. On top of that, I had a girl who sat next to me in 3rd grade who always liked to break my pencils, and I told the teacher about this once, and the teacher did nothing, so I had to take matters into my own hands and handle it. But before I had handled it, she was very distracting, so my 3rd grade spelling quizzes were just not good. And in the bottom, we have pre-calculus. Passing that class was a miracle. I'm not going to lie. Jesus had my back, because, oof, it was a rough semester. So let's get into it. I guess we'll just go in order that they're listed. So first we have Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice I read in middle school, I think 7th grade. I read Pride and Prejudice too early. I think I read it in 6th grade, actually. I read it too early. It was too difficult for me to understand. And because I read it so early, like I said, it was difficult to understand. I couldn't really understand it. I had to reread pages over and over and over again to get what was going on. On top of that, the whole class didn't read it. We had split into reading groups, and I got put into the Pride and Prejudice group because I was, good at English, but me and my whole group were just like, girl, what is this book? What's going on? We were not about it. So we're going to toss Pride and Prejudice into pre-calculus. Maybe if I read it again today, it would be better, but I'm just kind of traumatized from that book. Next, we have Alas Baby Lion. Now, Alas Babylon I read in 7th grade, I want to say. I remember it, but not really. I know that it's a post-apocalyptic world, and by the way, this video is going to have spoilers for these books. I know it's a post-apocalyptic world. I know at the end they get taken away in a helicopter, and it's a good thing. I don't remember much else. I do remember one scene where the kids do something bad, and the wife lady decides that she's gonna beat the kids, but she's like crying because she doesn't want to do it, and she's like, I don't want to hurt the kids. And then my teacher was like, beating your children ends up hurting the parents more than it does the kids. And I was like, okay, so now we're just lying. That's not cute. And that really irritated me. So because it's like not even really a memorable book, and the only scene that I do remember is one that pissed me off, but like I feel like it wasn't a terrible time, it's gonna go into third grade spelling quizzes. Like I tried my best, it just wasn't for me. Next we have Frankenstein. Sorry, Mary, your book is boring. Your book is boring, darling. It's impossible to get through. The Frankenstein musical on Broadway. That is a different story, and I have to appreciate the book for bringing us so many different adaptations and worthwhile creations. But the actual book itself is about as boring as white bread. I can't do it. I can't do it. Next, we have The Awakening. All of you might not have read The Awakening. I read this in AP literature in 12th grade. The Awakening is a bit melodramatic. It's a book about a lady in the, hundreds, the time before now, who, she doesn't have a job. Her only job is to, like, be a wife, be a mom. But she's kind of over it. She doesn't really like her husband. She doesn't really like her kids. She has, like, a little side babe, but, she has to keep that a secret from her husband. And as the book goes on, she just gets further and further away from her family. She ends up moving out at one point. She's just tired of life. She hates them. And in the end, she drowns herself because she's like, I can't live like this. Now, I find that ending a little melodramatic. Like, you had options, sis. But I appreciate the book's efforts to tell the story of just like being oppressed by men. I feel like that's important, and I appreciate that the book takes the time out of its precious little day to show us the shortcomings of men to the point where women would kill themselves to avoid spending time with them. I think that's hilarious. So we are going to toss The Awakening into... I do remember liking it. I feel like the end was a little much for me, but I do remember liking it. We'll put her into reading comprehension multiple choice. Usually good, a couple of slip-ups, but usually good. Next we have To Kill a Mockingbird. I really liked this book at the time, as did everyone else. I read it in 9th grade. It was my first, probably my first book that had any mention of Black people. Better yet, having one of them be a important character. He's not the main character, but he is important. And also the whole like mystery of Boo Radley was fun. Learning about unreliable narrators was fun, in that the narrators of this book, the narrator is a little girl, so her telling of reality isn't always the way reality is. That was an interesting lesson. I really liked this book. Now, being older, I have to point out the white saviorism of this book. We can't just dust that one under the rug, if you get what I'm saying. But other than that, I really liked it. So we're going to put her into SAT writing perfect score. Without the white saviorism, if that Black man had had a little more agency, just a little bit, then it could have gone into 5 on the AP Lit exam. But he basically did nothing but die. So next we have Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Now, as I was looking at stuff for this video, I ended up finding out y'all were reading The Invisible Man, which is a different story, a different book entirely. But Invisible Man, no The? She's iconic, baby. I read her in 12th grade AP Lit. She's going right into that 5 I got on the exam because she is pretty much the reason I got the 5. Invisible Man. Invisible Man. Definitely the first book that I was required to read with a Black main character. Love that for me. I don't even know what to say. It's just like, it's formative. It was a discussion of Blackness in a very different and creative way. It was also an interesting story within itself. I do not remember the end, the beginning, the middle. I don't know what the story was, but like I know the concepts. And the concepts are enough for me at this point. Like, I could read the book again to refresh my brain on what the story is and where it goes. But even just I'm putting my hair up. Even just working with the concepts, I know that she was iconic. I know that it was a moment, and I know that I loved it. I remember loving it, and I'm sure that I still would if I read it again today. So, Invisible Man, 5 on the AP Lit examination. Next, darling, we have Jane Eyre, which I also read senior year of high school. AP Lit, yuppity yuppers. Jane Eyre is a romance novel from the hundreds. I don't know which hundreds, 18, 19, 17, who knows? But it's a romance novel. Gag is, romance in that time, it's a little like, I'm the man. Live with me, that's it. And this book is a little different, similarly to The Awakening, in that our main lady, our leading lady, Jane, decides, nah, I ain't really with that shit. If you want to be with me, you have to prove that you're worth my time. And I love that. We like that lesson, and it was just a really good book. Good drama. The romance is actually there. One thing with old timey books is like when writing a romance story, they kind of forget that they have to make the characters fall in love. They just are like, these characters love each other because I said so. But they actually try in Jane Eyre. Really like it. A 5 on the AP Lit exam, that shouldn't be surprising. Period. Period. Boom. Period. Next we have The Great Gatsby. Now, this one is going to make y'all mad. I don't get it. I don't get why y'all like this book so much. I don't get why y'all had one of the themes of my prom be from this book. I don't get why there's movies about this book, why every other formal dance the theme is this book, why people like to have parties with this book, why some of the journaling YouTubers I watch have done whole months with this book as the theme. I don't understand what y'all are getting out of this book. Because all I got was rich white man tears. Daisy, who honestly I was just ready for the bitch to die. Like, she was annoying. She was irritating. There was no chemistry between them. There was no romance. Like I said, sometimes with these books they forget that in a romance story you have to have the characters like fall in love, like have a connection, some kind of chemistry, like have there be something. There was none of that. It was just he likes her and she doesn't like him because I said so. And I'm not with that. I'm not with that. I don't no. The billboard, now, I would like to point out that the year that I read this was the year that I had my worst language arts teacher. I did not like her, and she did not like being a language arts teacher. She quit the next year to be a model and live with her rich boyfriend. So maybe her teaching of the book was the reason I didn't like it. Maybe she just didn't do it enough justice. But I feel like the book shouldn't require a good language arts teacher for me to like it. The book should just be good, and it's not good, baby girl. So sorry, Great Gatsby. You're basically my pre-calc final. Not even not the final, because I actually got an A on the final. That was when Jesus like swooped in and was like, "Girl, I'm gonna help you pass this class." She is the maybe third time that I had to take the unit circle quiz and still failed. Yeah, that's Great Gatsby. Next we have Kite Runner. The Luna avec the kite. Right, okay, we're with it. Kite Runner I read twice. I read once, I think in 8th grade. I don't know. And then I read it the second time senior year. I don't know how a book managed to transcend two completely different grade levels, but it did. I read it twice. I read it 3 times because I read it once on my own, which should already give you a hint as to where this book is going. The Kite Runner is great. It's great. Ow, it's great. I am a happy ending girly. I'm not really pleased if I read a book and it doesn't have a happy ending. And Kite Runner doesn't really have a happy ending. Like, it gives you a little crumb of hope, but it's not a happy ending by any stretch of the word. So the fact that I like the Kite Runner means that it's a good book, because I like a happy ending. Also, trigger warning for rape in this book, because there's quite a few occasions of it. Handled very well. That's what I have to say about that. It's handled very well. Now, I do not remember the characters. I think Hassan is his name. Where are his flowers? Where are his flowers? I get the point. It's like life isn't fair, and honestly, I feel like he was generally pretty happy. The way that he was described, the way his life was described, I feel like he, lived out his life dream and was happy. But I want him to receive more flowers. Didn't even get to raise his son. Where are his flowers? I'm tired. Amazing book. Amazing book. I wish that things could have been happier, but if they were happier, it wouldn't be as good of a book. It's just me wanting everything to be peaches and plums. But Kite Runner is definitely going into my 5 on AP Lit exam. I'm pretty sure I read about Kite Runner in one of my essays. So, thanks, babe. Next we have this book with the title cut out, but I think it's Tale of Two Cities. A Tale of Two Cities. iconic. I read A Tale of Two Cities in the same class that I read The Great Gatsby, the class with the English teacher who did not want to be there and who I didn't want her to be there either. Yeah, pretty sure I read Tale of Two Cities in her class, and I absolutely adored it. I got like the themes with the colors was really just like what set this book off for me, like the gold of the main girl's hair, the red of the one lady's rose, just it was the first time I had seen a book really use color like that, and I greatly appreciated it. Also, learning that this book wasn't written all at once, that it was like separate entries into the newspaper. Really good planning on Charles Dickens' part. I feel romance in this is legit between all three characters. There is a love triangle, which is one of the most interesting kinds of stories, in my opinion, especially when a girl is in the middle of it. Period. Poo. I could predict the ending. I knew it was going to happen, but not everyone in my class knew. So I'm not going to say the book was predictable just because I figured it out. Well, actually, maybe the people in my class weren't reading it. Yeah, okay, the book might be predictable, but I'm okay with that because it's like I knew it was happening a couple chapters before it happened, which made those chapters before it happened more interesting because it was like the build up, the tension, the like just the moments of like I know what is about to go on here, so seeing this go on is like making that even more emotional. It was like, yep, no regrets. Okay, next, Heart of Darkness. Um, so I don't really have much to say about Heart of Darkness. Like, okay, I read this in senior year again, AP Lit. My teacher really hyped this up and had me thinking I was going to be reading a horror book. I was like, I want to read this junk. I don't like scary stuff. What you doing? No, it's not scary. The book is it's pretty chill, to be honest. It talks about like the wrongdoings of humanity, but not even really, to be honest. Like we've done worse than Heart of Darkness. We suck. But it's just an exploration of like how humans can be led astray and like do bad stuff, and I like it, but it's not very memorable. It's not like it doesn't stand out to me. Like it's fine, it's a fine read, but I wouldn't read it again. I wouldn't read it on my own devices. So we're going to put A Heart of Darkness into reading comprehension multiple choice quizzes. She's not bad, she's just not good enough. Orinoco, which I read in college. Because I got a 5 on the AP Lit exam, I didn't have to take English Comp 1 or 2. But then there was a category where of like, Gen Eds where I could take another English course, and I decided to take Brit Lit again. And this class is more poetry focused. This class also made me love poetry, but we'll get there. So, Orinoco, another one of the first books that I've been required to read that was telling the perspective of a black man. I think this one was actually written by him as well. Not only that, but a black, like, slave-ish kind of situation. I don't know, I don't remember if he was a slave or if like, he was a slave. He was a slave. Yep, a black slave wrote a book. Period, poo. So remember when I said, like, old-timey books kind of forget sometimes that when they want two characters to be in love, they have to, like, have a love story? Orinoco is one of those books. But if you're willing to just accept that these characters are in love, then there's a lot of drama and the story can get interesting. You just have to kind of put it behind you that they never really gave any justification for them being in love, or they never had any chemistry or anything at all. But once you get past that, it's a good read. And it's written by a black man talking about slavery. And I love that this book goes into the differences between slavery in Africa and slavery in England and slavery in America, because people love let me just restart that sentence. Racist people love to mention how there were slaves in Africa too. Yes, there were. You're correct. There were also slaves in Greece, so if you want to get on the same race of people having slaves, look at yourself first, sis. But slavery in Africa was very different than it was in England or America. And that's the part where you've got it twisted if you bring that up as a rebuttal to anyone talking about slavery. So I love that the book takes some time to point that out. With all of that being said, Orinoco can go into the SAT writing perfect score. He didn't, like, reform my life. And again, that love story was kind of lacking. But I like what he did. I like what he tried. Paradise Lost I've not read all of Paradise Lost. I don't know many schools that would require you to read the whole thing. But the parts that I read, Paradise Lost is the reason that I learned to love Poetry. I hated poetry prior to reading this, but after reading Paradise Lost, not only did I love this book, but I love sonnets. Shakespearean sonnets, they're my moment. And Paradise Lost was one of the things that was able to open me up to them. I just love that, like, if you just read 8 lines, like any 8 lines of Paradise Lost, you could sit there and annotate those 8 lines for a good 20 minutes. Good 20 minutes. And that might even be minimum in some cases. There's just so much packed into every word that goes in there. Every word is intentional. And I love that, and it just makes it's so much more interesting. Like the story, we already know the story, Adam and Eve, God, yeah, we already know the story. So the interest is in the craftsmanship of the writing, and boy, oh boy, is it high. High craftsmanship. Now, with that being said, I don't know that I could get through all of Paradise Lost. It's kind of like a slug. Like it takes a lot of time to go through, and it's just a bit annoying to read something that long that has that much annotating to do when you already know the story. So it's like, what really are you getting out of it? So Paradise Lost is going into my SAT writing perfect score category because she is very, very good, but just a little lengthy. You know what I'm saying? Next we have what I think is Phantomina, which is another book that I read in college. Phantomina is another one of those books about loving men in the hundreds. 1800s, whatever. Phantomina is a bit of a whore. Well, no, she's not. Phantomina is a normal girl, but she notices all the men around are always into the prostitutes. And she's like, that's intriguing. So she dresses up like a prostitute to see what will happen. She ends up getting pregnant, which, like, baby girl, that was all you. You did that to yourself. And at the end, she runs away. It's based off what my teacher told me. Her ending of like getting the chance to like go away is way better than what the typical woman who got pregnant out of wedlock would have had to deal with. So I appreciate this again, just like all these other books. I appreciate a story of a woman in the hundreds, getting to get the man and then be on about her business. There's another one, I don't remember what the poem is called, but there is a short poem about a man and a woman who hook up in a like shepherd's field or whatever, and the lady starts out like, oh no, I don't know what's going on, oh no, but then like by the end of it, she had more experience than him, and then he didn't even last more than like 2 seconds, and she was like, bro, please. So she just leaves. I really like stories from the hundreds about these women just doing what they want to do, because men don't matter at the end of the day. Have your opinions. Ladies, you don't have to care. I mean, they did at the time, but now we don't. So we're going to put her into writing perfect score. It was a fun read. Yeah. Next we have And Then There Was One, And Then There Were None. I always do that. And Then There Were None, which is a mystery book about like killers, and it's like, who's the killer? The book taught me about a red herring. It was a really fun read. I read it in 7th grade. There was the whole like competition in the class of like, who do you think is a killer? And we all like submitted our answers every week. And like, I never got it right, but it was fun. It was a really fun read. I liked it. Agatha Christie, you get SAT perfect writing score. It was a good read. It was a really fun read. And there's also a movie. The movie is made a long time ago. The movie's in black and white, and it's so cringe. The acting is terrible, and it's so funny. So, watch the movie if you can. Finally, we have Lewis Lowry's The Giver. I read The Giver in like 6th grade or something, and I recently read it again on my own accord. That should tell you where it's going to rank. I actually have a video of Read The Giver with me, so if you're interested in that, please check it out. But, The Giver was my first dystopian novel, and The Giver, like, as you get older, you see how it's, like, not that dystopian. Like, there's one concept in The Giver where after, like, age 12 or something, once they start getting jobs, they just stop keeping track of their ages. And, like, you can go and look it up if you want to, but most people don't know how old they are. And, it sounds crazy to, like, a middle schooler, like, oh my gosh, why would they, like, not know how old they are? What? But now that I'm older, I'm like, I mean, yeah, like, after a certain number of milestones, life just kind of goes on, and it doesn't really matter. So, it's dystopian, like, not really. The other thing I don't like about The Giver is that the ending is unclear, but my friend has recently informed me that there are 2 more books in the Giver series, so I would be able to continue the story, and I love that for me. But this story did spark creativity in my mind, which it's not always easy to do. The story did make me think of like alternate endings in a world in which case like his two friends from the cult basically escape when they're older and they all meet up at some point and they're like, oh my gosh, you're you, and they can all see in color and they're like, wow, yeah, yep. So because of that, anything that can spark creativity in my mind is an important piece of media to me. So The Giver, you get to go in a 5 on the AP Lit exam. Yep. So that being said, it looks like most of the required reading that I had to do was actually pretty good books. You know, we've got 10, no, yeah, 10 of the total 16 in the top two categories. But, you know, that makes sense. There's not going to be a lot of books that I read that I remember all these years later that I dislike. I know that there are some books that should be on here that I just don't remember. Like, I know I read Antigone at some point, but I just don't remember it enough to be able to rank it. There are other books that I could add to this, I'm sure. But I hope you enjoyed doing it with these 16 here with me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to move over here so that you can click some of my links. Please leave a comment down below of some of the books that you would move around on my waiting list or some that you think should be added. I already know you're mad about Great Gatsby, so feel free to tell me why. Also, please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so again you can be notified when I upload, which will be tomorrow because I'm uploading every single day of August except the 31st. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time, and until then, toodaloo. I'm waiting on you to click the links. Like, there's no reason for you to still be here. You could just click one and then you'd be gone. So. Okay, I take it you're gone now, so I'm gonna go too. Bye.